the second half of the season. We had a good first half, and we're trying to keep it going with our bet picks and as well as our daily fantasy picks. So here's our daily fantasy uh, optimal plays of the night, and let's get some money tonight. We're gonna go with a lot of these guys. Our hitters, we have tons of opportunity tonight. A bunch of guys are batting really well against their pitcher opponents. For example, we start with Joey Votto, 3,600 on FanDuel at first base. We really like the Reds tonight. Votto's one of those guys that we really like in that stack if you are stacking the Reds tonight, which you should be. He's batting 583 against John Gray. They're playing in Colorado, so that helps our home run potential here. Love this spot for Votto. He's 7 for 12, 4 extra base hits and a home run, with only 2 strikeouts and 12 at bats. So we like that. We like where that's headed. Next up, we have Scooter Gennett, who's cheaper, 3,200 on FanDuel at second base for Cincinnati. He is our best average of the night against John Gray, 600 against him. He's 6 for 10, 2 extra base hits and 4 RBIs, and 2 strikeouts, and 10 at bats there. So we like Scooter Gennett tonight. He's cheap for the most part. Second base, usually you're not going to get much from second base, and shortstop's usually tough positions to find home run guys or guys that can really clean up in a night. They're somewhat limited, I guess you could say. But I really like Scooter Gennett tonight. You could stack him in with your Cincinnati guys. Another guy for Cincinnati, Yasiel Puig, 3,700 on FanDuel. He's had a good year this year. Let's just say that. He's batting 412 against John Gray. So we really like the Reds against John Gray here. I know John Gray's having a pretty good year, but in Colorado, he's going to struggle against Cincinnati, who is probably fired up to do something after the All-Star break. They're going to want to score some runs. They're going to want to try to show out now for at least the first few weeks. We'll see how much we get out of that. But Yasiel Puig is a good option here. He's batting 412, 7 for 17 with a home run, 3 extra base hits, 2 strikeouts as well. He doesn't walk. And so he's doing okay against Gray. So we're sticking along with Cincinnati there. You could see where the lineup shakes up. You can see where you can stack guys. But somehow try to get these guys in if you can. If you can somehow work a stack with them, that would be excellent. Next up, we have Mike Trout, who's just a stud all around, all the time. At 4,700 on FanDuel, he's rather expensive, but he is worth the price tag against Leak, who he's faced 24 times. He faces him a lot as their divisional opponent, so they play a lot. And he's 12 for 24 against him with 2 home runs. Of those 12 hits, he has 8 extra base hits. So we love that. He's only struck out 4 times in 24 at bats. 500 batting average, 571 on base percentage. Slugging is 1. So he's in a good spot here to hit his value at the very least. Next up, we have Avisail Garcia for Tampa Bay, outfielder, 3,200 on FanDuel. Strictly for this one, he has a good matchup against Bundy. Bundy's having a pretty good year, but he does play for the Orioles, and he doesn't get much run support for the most part. But Garcia here, he's batting 500 against Bundy with a home run, 6 for 12. So we like that. We had him in our lineup before the All-Star break, so we're rolling with him again. We think he's having a nice little hot streak here, and we think that he'll continue that. Next up, we have Dexter Fowler. Nice little salary relief here for St. Louis. 2,900 is pretty cheap for an outfielder. Let's see. You can get him. He's a guy that's facing Robbie Ray at home, and he's batting 455 against him. So he's 5 for 11 with a home run, 2 extra base hits. So we're looking at that as a potential spot there. He's probably risky just because his salary obviously reflects that. So if you want to fit somebody else in there in your outfield, we have plenty of outfield options here that we've said. But just basically, if you need to save some salary, I think you can go with Dexter Fowler. Garcia is nice at 3,200 as well. I think that's pretty good value there for him. Um, Next up, we have Yuli Gurriel, third base and first base. I believe he is first base in DraftKings, and I think he plays both third and first in DraftKings, and he's just third at FanDuel, 3,700 here. 5,400 on DraftKings is interesting. How expensive he is there, but FanDuel, I think you can go with him. But with that being said, I'm not trying to temper the guy because he against Chavez and Texas, he's batting .538, 7 for 13, 3 extra base hits, 2 home runs. So we like that. Only 1 strikeout. So we like that matchup here for Gurriel. Even though, I wouldn't take him necessarily on DraftKings because he is rather expensive, but I would take him on FanDuel as you can probably. You like the upside here for 3,700. At least I do. Next up, we have another outfielder, Shohei Ohtani, having a great year, coming back from Tommy John surgery. He won't pitch, as we all know, but he's been hitting and he's been on fire. We really like him. 3,900 on FanDuel, 4,800 on DraftKings. He is getting there in price tag, but we do like the matchup again against Leak. They do play each other a lot. So far, though, he's only 5 for 12 because he did miss part of the season. 5 for 12 against him with a home run, 2 extra base hits. So we like that. He only has 2 strikeouts and 12 at bats. It's all right. But hey, we like the guy to keep rolling. You can probably stack it depending on how the lineup comes out. It's usually a late game here, so usually you're going to have to wait for the lineup there. So usually Ohtani and Trout are close in the lineup or back-to-back, so you probably could stack them as well. So I like the Reds to stack with the Angels potentially here. A lot of potential tonight, and I really like it. I really like the slate, and I think you guys could kill it. All right, next up is our pitchers for tonight. For our pitchers tonight, we have a few really interesting matchups. Batting averages for each of these guys are, besides Lamet, who only had 1 start, who's coming in against Atlanta. San Diego's favored. He's at the bottom of our order here at 5,600 on FanDuel, 9,800 on DraftKings. We like that they're favored. Vegas tends to favor the better pitcher. And I think somehow Lamet and the Padres are looking like a favorite tonight against Atlanta. They are at home, so that does help. So aside from him, the rest of these guys have fantastic matchups that we know about. For example, Clevinger, he's pitching against Minnesota at home. We don't really like pitchers against Minnesota because Minnesota's has a very good lineup. But at 9,300 on FanDuel and 9,600 on DraftKings, Clevinger is manageable. In 80 appearances against him, they're batting 200, Minnesota against him. So his 23 strikeouts in 80 appearances against him. I like that. Only 3 home runs. It's not too bad. We think that there's a potential here that Clevinger could just pretty much just shut out Minnesota. I wouldn't bet the house on it, but I do like it. Gerrit Cole is next at Texas. Houston lost to Texas last night, but I think this is a bounce back game for the team as Gerrit Cole is their go-to guy alongside Verlander. And he's rather expensive on FanDuel, 11.4 and 11.5 on DraftKings. But, the slate here is interesting, but he stands out. He also has a lot of appearances against him, 133 appearances, only 29 hits, 4 home runs in 133 at-bats against him. and they're 53 strikeouts in 133 at bats. So he's crushing it against Texas. So that's kind of where we're standing here. He is expensive, but I think you're going to hit the value here. I think he can pitch and get a lot of strikeouts here. I really like it. Next up, we have a salary relief here. Chase Anderson. He's a risk play here. 6,500 on FanDuel, 6,300 on DraftKings. I almost like Lamet a little bit better than him on in this situation. Um, but what we do like here is his matchup against San Francisco. They are at home, so that's interesting. But in 94 appearances against him, 21 hits, 15 strikeouts, 223 batting average. So no home runs either. So we like that. Um, and he's not the best pitcher here, obviously, which his salary reflects. But again, it's matchups. It's a matchup-oriented game here with pitchers, and I really like Chase Anderson tonight in this matchup. Next up, another huge matchup guy, Mike Fiers. Sub 200 average against him. 62 plate appearances, no home runs, 10 strikeouts, which is kind of low, but 194 batting average against him. Like you can't hate against that. Fiers having a pretty solid year for a guy that was just unrosterable before. Um, he's playing against the White Sox, so I like that as well. Keep the scoring down a bit, as Oakland's probably going to beat Chicago pretty bad. So I like Fiers tonight. And that sums up our pitching lineup here. We have a lot of options, as with hitters. A lot of options that aren't listed here. You can also look into. We really like to see. There's a lot of pitchers out there today. A lot of teams playing these pitchers that they really like, throwing out some of their best pitchers. My fantasy teams, my season-long fantasy teams, have a ton of guys pitching today. So a lot of teams throwing out good arms today. So keep that in mind with your picks. Good luck to you guys, and keep it rolling. And then let's get some wins.
You could receive access to expert picks every day during baseball season. Our parlay of the day gets you 3 picks each day. We also offer live betting advice on YouTube Live and Patreon. You could also sign up by clicking the Patreon link below. Follow us on social media as well. Our Twitter handle is @sportsbets_DFS, and our Instagram page is bet_on_rich. If you sign up in the next week on rtsportsbets.com and use the promo code MLB22, that's MLB22, you'll receive 50% off on your order.